Some authors have spent decades working on just a few books. Others put out a book, it seems like, every few months or so. How long did it take for me to write my first epic fantasy novel? That's what I'm going to cover in today's episode. Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Jagir, and I am an epic fantasy writer. If you've been following along, you know that my new book, Breaking, is going to be coming out within the next couple months, and I'm really excited for that. I'll be continuing to put up information on when that'll be available to pre-order, hopefully soon. Just some final touches to put on it, but that will be coming to you shortly. This episode, though, I'm going to be covering how long it took me to write this first novel. Now, there's two different answers to this. There's always more than just a simple answer, right? The first answer is that it's been the culmination of years of thinking and building up this world and universe that I've had. So I've written not fully, like to be gone through the whole third draft, fourth draft, final drafts, and sending out to core readers. Going through the whole process. I haven't done that with other books, but I have written through about two or three other books in this world. And while those I probably will never publish, they definitely have gone a long way to me developing my writing skills, talents, and also just being more familiar with the world and developing my ideas as I go along with that. Now, I have had a couple people close to me who know my writing and everything who have read those items and have helped me along the way for sure. And this is the first book that I've fully written that will be being published, and again, very shortly. So I've kind of developed this world and universe since I was in high school. Again, developing stories along the way, writing stories from it, changing things along the way. A lot happens to one's mind from being 15 years old to 30 years old. So a lot of, that's about 15 years of me developing the world that I want it to be with the magic systems, the races, the story, just everything. So this is the first, official, I guess you can say, like canon story involved in my world. So that's kind of the long answer of the ideas forming and how long it took me to get to this point where I'm ready to publish my first book in that universe. The second answer, that's a little bit more direct, is about 2.5 years from starting the very first draft to actually finishing the book. And that's quite a bit longer than what I want my future books to be. I have a kind of plan on a release schedule of what I want to do with my future books. But the reason why it took me 2.5 years and pretty close to 3 years by the time the actual book releases and I'm shipping to everyone and people can purchase and read for themselves, is a few different things. The magic system that I've come up with, I'm not saying it's anything, beyond unique, but it definitely has a lot of interactions with the world. It has a lot of dynamics to it that I had to really think about while writing this first book. So, even though this first book is standalone, it will interact with future books and future series that I write. So, anything that I write in this book, I had to really make sure that it wasn't affecting my world or universe in a negative way. So that it kind of like ruined my ideas of things, if you will. So some magic system ideas are fleshed out in this book, not fully, but enough where I could have kind of messed things up of how I want them to be moving forward. Now, there's a lot of different, I guess you could say, ways in this book where I've shown quite a bit, but then also withheld quite a bit for a few different reasons. And maybe someone will ask questions about that in the future, and I'll talk about those. But needless to say, it just took a long time for me to make sure going along, outlining the book, writing the book, that I was in a spot where I was happy with the magic system that I made for this specific book, and the greater implications it has for my world. Kind of going along with this, I didn't intend my first book to be extremely like lore heavy in an epic, fantastic way. So it's I would say a comparison would be Brandon Sanderson's books are very easily accessible. That's not to say his books are not complex. They definitely are. The storylines, the characters, everything that he builds up is very great. I'm not saying that at all, but when you pick up Brandon Sanderson's book, it reads like you would. It kind of is almost like it might be set in a like a different modern world, if that makes sense. Character interactions, he kind of the magic systems are very slowly introduced, so it's not overwhelming. Whereas my book can definitely, I think, have that overwhelming feel at the beginning. There's a lot thrown at you at one time. Now, I don't explore all the world building. This isn't a Silmarillion book or anything like that. This is a book with a story, with a payoff at the end, with a, I would say, ending. Maybe not definite ending, as it kind of relates to other books, but there's an ending to the book. And so to fit all that in one book, it's a lot of condensed material. So you do learn a lot about the magic system, the race that I made up, the region that they're in. It is very much a kind of non-human civilization way of living. So that's, and I didn't intend for that on writing. I knew that I was going to have this race that I made up, all these different, this magic system, but I didn't expect the book to kind of be filled with literally putting you in like a different world that you are very unfamiliar with. So it took a long time to be able to organize that so it's very an organized way, introduced to the reader well. So that was kind of another aspect that took a lot longer to develop. While at the same time, again, keeping in the back of my mind the implications this has for my world as a whole as I write future books. And then third, life circumstances. So during that time, I switched jobs. We also had our second child. Just a couple big life events that creeped in while during all this time. So again, just under 3 years from the time of just starting the book until publishing. And that might not seem like a long time. That might be an average time kind of for our first writer. But again, my future books, I definitely want to go a lot quicker. I have more things planned, more books outlined. Now that I'm more familiar with stuff that I've created for my universe in this first book, I can build upon it with my other ones. So I definitely want you to be able to read more stories in my world sooner than what you would have waited for this one. But yeah, despite all this, it is releasing soon. I'd like to have it released in December. I think conservatively it'll be in the middle of January by the time this book ships and you have it and can read it. And again, I don't think I've touched on it too much, but there's going to be a few versions. There's going to be a free PDF version, so you can just download the PDF, read it for free. You'll have an ebook version, an audiobook version, and a soft cover and a hardcover. So you'll have 5 different ways to read it, however way you want to, which I think is hopefully really good for you. You'll be able to read it or listen to it in whatever format you want to. Thank you for watching this episode. Appreciate you watching through all the way. It really helps if you watch it through all the way and if you give it a like. If you do those 2 things, even if you're doing the dishes at the same time, you're not paying attention to what I'm saying, rambling on, watch the whole thing, like it. That helps a lot with promoting my materials so that my episodes can get out there more. YouTube will promote it to more people. People will listen and hopefully read, read, and read my book, enjoy it, and support me even further. So any way that you can help really, really greatly helps me. Tell your friends about it. If you know someone who reads fantasy, mention this book to them. Send them to my website, which is in the link below. But yeah, I really appreciate your support. I know that there's a lot of you who watch my episodes every single time I release one. Very grateful for your time. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I really appreciate it. If you want to leave a comment too, if there's something that I said that you want to talk about, or if you don't want the whole public space to see it, you can also message me privately. Go to my website and you can use my contact form and we can talk about whatever you want. I'd prefer it to be fantasy related, but if you have something else on your mind, then go for it. Again, thank you, and I'll see you next time.